What's up? I am from Urchfab. Today I am going to be sorting the wiring out. I'll show you where I'm at so far with this. I've completely stripped this loom. This is the original engine harness. And I've taken everything out of it that doesn't need to be there. And it's probably half the thickness of this loom because there was so much stuff in it that wasn't needed. Same with this plug, had probably 30 wires coming out of it. So that is, that should be it. That's all I need really for this to work. That's that bit sorted, that's that bit sorted. I'm not gonna wrap it just in case. I'll get it fired and started up and then wrap it afterwards just in case I've got something wrong in there. Box of goodies from carbuilder.com. This is something that I was looking at when I was at the NEC. And this is basically a completely pre-wired fuse box for like a kit car. Little cover for it. You've got 4 relays, indicators, hazards, fan, and a horn relay. And then all of these are basically pre-wired. Everything's labeled, you get a wiring diagram. Just makes doing this super simple. So I'm going to use my horn relay for my fuel pump and my fan relay for my fan, and then I can still have indicators. But for the minute, just want to get it running, so we use these two, and then we use some of these live feeds. And if there's something that we don't need that's labelled as, you know, a radio or a CD player or whatever, we can always use that for something else that we need to. So that's going to make life a hell of a lot easier. And they actually make these, they're not, you know, they're not like a Chinese bought-in thing. They put these together. FIA spec battery isolator, a whole load of different size battery terminals, a couple of switches for like a on-off switch for start, ignition switch. These are just heavy duty toggle switches. And I've also got a USB charging switch because I need to be able to charge whatever it is I'm going to use to read all the information off the ECU, whether it's a phone or a little iPad screen or whatever, because the output on the ECU doesn't have a charging sort of, like when you plug it in it won't charge, it'll just read, so you need to have another setup for the charging. Got a load of this wraparound stuff for wrapping the wiring in. Load of battery cable. Instead of getting a load of singles, rolls of singles, I just got a load of multi-core cable. So if I need a little piece of whatever, I can just strip it down, or you know, I can just run a piece of multi-core and know that there's whatever wiring I need sort of within that, rather than making a loom. It's just a bit easier. So I've got a load of different sizes, a load of different cores. That should just make life a little bit easier for the wiring. I'll put a link in the description to all this stuff, but if you're building like a custom car project build, it's worth going and having a look on their website, because they literally sell everything you would need for it, pretty much. All the little sort of bits that are usually quite tricky to get, they seem to have all that stuff in one place. So well worth a look if you're into this kind of stuff. Oh, and I got a wiper switch as well, because I didn't have a switch for the wipers, so it's just like a 3-position switch for the wipers. And you get a little wiring diagram with all your switches as well, which is handy. Alright, so I've got the later Mark II alternator, which has a rib style belt on it, and this alternator, the voltage is controlled by the ECU. So this ECU can do that, but an easier option is to just swap to an early alternator that regulates itself, and you just have your one wire coming off to turn your light off. So internet says you just bolt it on, unbolt your V pulley, bolt it straight on your early Mark I alternator, problem solved. It's a different size. So it doesn't fit. That bottoms out on that, and it's too big anyway. So it's one of them. It's one of those that the internet says will work, but definitely doesn't. So I'm gonna have to make a little adapter to take up that slot and space that up. If I need to measure the exact measurement of where it sits on this one, otherwise I'm going to end up with a belt running out of line or something. So need to measure that first, and then yeah. Next problem, that is bottoming out on the top of that, and it's already too high. So I'll have to grind this edge off of here to get that to sit down where it needs to sit. And then this is a second-hand alternator, so if for any reason this doesn't work, I've got absolutely no chance of sending it back once I've done that, but that is the only option. Right, that now sits on where it needs to sit, but we've obviously got the slop issue. So we just need like a little 1mm sleeve to go in there to sort that out. Nice. Threads don't go down far enough, so we need a big washer. Right, is on. The other thing that's different is the later one is threaded in the end. This one bolts all the way through, so you need a longer bolt. Next issue, this one, the later one has a threaded bottom bolt and an open top bolt. This one has a threaded top bolt and an open bottom bolt. So you need a longer bolt from the bottom to go through that. You need to drill that out to fit your adjuster. She's in. So I've skipped forward a bit because there's not really much to film, to be honest. It's just me staring at wiring diagrams, scratching my head, trying to work out what goes where. But I'll just show you where I'm up to. There is another couple of wires that I think I can take out of that, but I just need to check. Haven't wrapped it, I've just put some of this stuff around it so I can still pull wires through if I need to. I've got my main battery cable running through, and then this is the wideband lambda sensor which connects directly into the ECU. Got the Motorsport Electronics ECU in the box now, and drilled the holes in the side, one for the vacuum line, the other one for this plug to go in through there. I've fixed that down to the top of the battery box as well, so that's all one thing. And then I've made up all my battery cables. So that's that done. You have to put up with my snot because they're mowing the fields at the moment. So I'm dying of hay fever at the minute. But yeah, so that's engine side of it is done now. And then in the car, so I've basically under ordered on the wiring by quite a large amount. I don't have anywhere near enough, so I've got just put an order in for some more. But I will show you how far I've got. And I thought all this was going to take me like a day to sort out, and I'm pretty much 3 days into this wiring so far. But right, so in here, this is the feed plug, and then I've brought everything to this point here. So I've got the car builder fuse board sat here. I've just bolted my wiper motor setup in as well, just to make sure I wasn't gonna hit the fuse board, and also gives me a nice little bar to cable tie all my wiring out of the way, so you won't be able to see it. So yeah, that's the feed cable with all the feeds, so that's going to be supplying the engine. And then I've got my digital dash, which also comes over to here. So basically I've just run everything to this point here, so all the connecting will be done here. I've got my battery isolator sat there, so just made a little bracket for that. So that will have, this has the cut off for the power to the ECU as well as the battery, so the alternator can't like backfeed the power to the ECU and keep it running. And then I've run up here, this is where all my switches are going to go. This is how I had it on my last car. It's just really nice to be able to just reach up and have your switches like well within reach when you're fully strapped in. So this cabling runs up behind there and then down behind this piece of cage. This runs to my fuel pump and the gauge. So I'm hoping that my sender will work with this dash. You can change the you can program whatever sort of sender you're using into that, so hopefully that will work. I'm hoping that I can use my speed sensor from the gearbox also and change, adjust it in here to run with this, because this comes with its own speed sensor that plugs into that, and that one's a temp sensor. And then this was going to be wiring to have the backlights. I was going to probably have just brake lights and indicators, but that's not actually long enough. But I have got everything sort of sussed out and laid out, and I know where everything's going, which is half the battle with this kind of stuff. Ow. What else have I done? Oh, I replaced that piece on the window that broke, and then just put in another bolt as a stop, just so it can't keep doing the same thing. Ow. Oh, you bastard. Just snapped the end of my nail off, look. These f***ing windows are a pain in the ass. I might have a little something for the engine bay, which should finish that off nicely as well. I've ordered some more cables, so hopefully that will be here shortly, and then next video should be a runner. Fingers crossed.
That's gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.